Now, the NFL has the Super Bowl coming up, but Creative Pro Wrestling fans, I am longtime independent wrestling fan Robert. The CAP Bowl, which was a great way for Creative Pro Wrestling to kick off 2026 from the Knights of Columbus in Lynbrook, Long Island. Now, the night begins with Bobby Orlando, introduced by ring announcer Ryan Peterson, and Bobby talked about that he lost the heavyweight championship back at Brawloween in November to Leo Sparrow. And Bobby said he doesn't care, he has to work his way from the bottom up, but he wants to be champion again. Right on cue, Leo Sparrow comes out, and, he goes on, I forgot what he says, but he does say, oh, I'm the king of Cap, I'm the king of Kale, the son of the sun. Then out comes the answer to your prayers, Ariella Nix. She comes out and she says, oh, I'm the GM here. And eventually the crowd chanting, you got fired. Back at Brawloween in November, the Dominican Destroyer Vargas had beaten leading man Jack Tomlinson and Bobby Cassell in a handicap match where she vowed to leave if Vargas won. If Vargas had lost, he would have been gone. But then eventually out comes one of the founding fathers of Creative Pro Wrestling, Brian Myers. He hits the ring sporting a nice Creative Pro hat cap. Huh, look at that. A cap. He was wearing a cap. Say that. Can anyone say that 3 times fast? Thing is, he comes to the ring and he says that there's a new sheriff in town and is refers to himself as Commissioner Myers. And I don't know if Ariella Nix thinks the fans have a short memory or something. She kept saying, oh, I'm the GM here and all this other stuff. And then at that point, was it Myers? Said, we're going to have our first match right now. And seeing Bobby Orlando's in the ring, out came his scheduled opponent, Alex Reynolds, who currently works for All Elite Wrestling. And All Elite Wrestling. So I don't know if he came out to sounded like some classical music. He had a mask on. He hits the ring and he doesn't wait for the bell. He attacks Orlando right away. These two had a very good match to start out the show. I forgot if something happened to the referee in this one, or it was some kind of a distraction. The referee was distracted. Reynolds threw fire at Orlando's face and then gave him a lung blower, codebreaker type maneuver. Alex Reynolds defeats Bobby Orlando at 10 minutes 26 seconds to pick up the victory, much to the chagrin of the crowd. Okay. But then we were about to have our second matchup, and we had the Botchamania moment where they kept playing Alex Reynolds' music, but thinking, wait a minute, he just won. And then they played it again, and they messed up. Out comes Sidney Bacabella, and let's just say, channeling his inner, I guess, Andre the Giant / Bobby Heenan with the one-strap singlet on. Sidney takes the microphone and he tells the crowd, Chick Donovan was afraid of a little snow on the ground, and he says, he dodged me 40 years ago, he's dodged me again. And he said, I want one of these Cap kids right now. And out came young Jesse Daniels. Not sure if this was Jesse Daniels' Creative Pro debut or not. But he comes out, match is on. Eventually, Jesse's is out on the floor. Sidney's, I guess, has distracted a referee. Someone from underneath the ring comes out wearing the one-strap singlet a la Sidney. And he attacks Daniels on the floor. Sidney has something in his hand. He hits Daniels with it. Sidney Bacabella defeats Jesse Daniels at 3 minutes 20 seconds. The individual who attacked Jesse Daniels on the floor comes into the ring, and Sidney introduces him, saying, "Oh, this is my son, little Joey Bacabella." And he says that he has got custody of him for the weekends. And then Sidney proceeds to, he says, the one thing I hate worse than, I don't know if he said it worse than Greenhorn, he said he hates freaks. And Sidney Bacabella issued a challenge to face former WWE's Swoggle on March 22nd. And then Sydney and Joey leave the ring together. Up next, it was, I guess, Adrenaline Express colliding or exploding as both Eric James and VSK come out. And the funny thing is, they come out together because their theme is Expose's Point of No Return. And they play the music, and then they come out together. Then they go back to the curtain. They play the music a second time, and then they're in the ring. Eric takes a microphone. He was saying, we've done so much together. We just want to do other things. And Eric's saying, this isn't goodbye. This is more like a see you later. The match was on, and these two young men can really go. And it's like, I don't know if anyone can find a bad match either one of these guys had, whether it was against each other, whether others in singles action or tag team action. VSK picks up the victory, defeats Eric James at 10 minutes 34 seconds. After the match, Eric offers a handshake, but VSK just walks out of the ring, which was much to the chagrin of the crowd. All right. Next matchup, we see singles competition. We see the Latin Dragon, Jovi, do battle with Azure, who we remember as one half of the Even Stevens. So, obviously with this new character, it's safe to say that Even Stevens are no more. And I don't know if Steve Somerset is done with wrestling or what his deal is. This match wasn't even announced for the show. Azure defeated the Latin Dragon, Jovi, in 58 seconds. And after the match, Azure drags Jovi back to the curtain. Okay, up next, our first championship match of the night, as we see making her return the notorious Mimi, who was part of NXT for a time, as she challenged Latina Spice, Nat Castle, accompanied by Sebastian Amore. And, very good match these ladies had. Amore came up to the apron, and I think Mimi knocked him off the apron. Castle took her spice, threw it in Mimi's face, put her in an armbar, and Castle defeats notorious Mimi by submission at 8 minutes 2 seconds to retain the Women's Championship. All right. Next matchup, which I thought would have been the main event and go on last, was the Dominican Destroyer Vargas challenging Leo Sparrow for the Heavyweight Championship. This was Sparrow, I guess, his first big title match since winning the belt at Brawloween back in November. These two did pretty good in the ring, had a good matchup. Forgot what Leo Sparrow used something, hit Vargas in the head with it. Sparrow pins Vargas to retain the Heavyweight Championship at 11 minutes 7 seconds. Up next, out comes... Oh, I forgot. I think I forgot. I don't know if I mentioned this in the early when in the segment it opened up the show, where Commissioner Myers tells Ariel and Nix, if you don't find an opponent for the night, that she'd be fired as a wrestler from the roster. But Ariel and Nix, the answer to your prayer, she comes out and she decides that her opponent will be Emmy, the female referee. And Ariella tells Emmy, you said you've looked up to me, said I'm an inspiration. Eventually, referee Stephen Dumaine comes out, and the match gets underway, and it's all Ariella practically. At one point, she was about to pin Emmy, but she pulls her up and puts her in a rear chin lock. The end came when Nix charged the corner. Emmy moves out of the way. Schoolgirls Nix and ref Emmy defeats Ariella Nix at 3 minutes 3 seconds to pick up the victory. So I don't know if this means Emmy's no longer going to be a referee, or she'll be wrestling from this point on, or what the deal is. Sorry. So I don't know what they're going to do, because Emmy, yes, she did wrestle in her referee gear, for those wondering. I actually thought the crowd was chanting Annie instead of Emmy. And we're not talking about the Emmy Awards either. Okay, up next it was time for the Cap Bowl, which is the tag team gauntlet match, which they say hadn't been done in years. The first two teams were Just Joe and Evil Kip, and the second team to come out was oh man. Oh, the leading man, Jack Tomlinson and Bobby Cassell. Tomlinson and Cassell beat Just Joe and Evil Kip in the first leg of the gauntlet match. But then out comes team number 3, which is current television champion, Rocker Boy Nick Robles and the Dying Piece, Aaron Rourke. They defeat Tomlinson and Cassell. Fourth team to enter, Liam Davis and... Wait. Did I mess this up? Hold on. Guys, it's Monday morning. This is not Sunday after the show, for those wondering. But yeah, we did start out with Just Joe and Evil Kip losing the first part to Tomlinson and... Damn it. Hold that thought. I'll be back. All right, after checking some Instagram stories on the Creative Pro Instagram, as I said, Jack Tomlinson and Bobby Cassell, first part of the gauntlet, defeated Just Joe, not the WWE's Just Joe, and Evil Kip. Aaron Rourke, the Dying Piece, and Rocker Boy Nick Robles ended up defeating Tomlinson and Cassell. But then the fourth team was Liam Davis and Jackson Crow. They come out. Robles and Rourke defeat Davis and Crow. Team number 5 was the artist Jake Lang and Silver Sniper TJ Crawford. Not surprisingly, as soon as they hit the ring, Crawford and Robles start butting heads. Crawford and Lang defeat Robles. Crawford and Lang defeat Robles and Rourke. Then team number 6 is CPA, and Dante Drago is the best. And CPA was singing Creed's "My Sacrifice" to the ring. And funny thing is, as soon as I forgot who Drago went after on the floor, he came in the ring. CPA, he was still got the microphone. He's still singing. At one point, he even did a drop kick off the second rope. But yeah, Drago and CPA defeat Crawford and Lang. And at that point, they're even Drago's thinking, hey, we won. But there was one more team that wasn't even announced for the show. Apparently, it's a newly formed team of VSK, sporting different gear than he had earlier on when he defeated Eric James. And out came Bryce Donovan. They hit the ring, and they were the final team of the gauntlet, of the Cap Bowl gauntlet. They hit the ring. VSK and Bryce Donovan defeat Dante Drago is the best and CPA to win the Cap Bowl Tag Team Gauntlet match. The time of that was 28 minutes, 56 seconds. Now, sorry. Yeah, they were victorious, and I think Bryce and VSK, it looks like they're going to be a team. They were both wearing not only same color gear, but I noticed their initials, not just VSK, but Bryce Donovan, BD on their gear. Look at the same type of design or font. So it looks like those two are going to be a team from this point on. And then the final match of the show, funny thing was, right before the final match, I had to go use the bathroom. And my understanding, because there was chaos going on, that the Shooter Boys, the tag team champions, Aaron Ortiz and Anthony Vecchio, they were coming to the ring, but they apparently got attacked from behind by their challengers, Pat Fitzpatrick and Jay Macias, QGTM. And I guess they seemingly injured Ortiz. I come back to my seat, and Vecchio's by the curtain, and he says, hey, I'll go it alone. So he comes in, the match is on. Ortiz, still sporting his jacket, he eventually comes back out. Forgot the exact ending of the match, but the Shooter Boys defeat QGTM at 9 minutes 3 seconds to retain the tag team championship. Now, due to a pre-match stipulation, Pat Fitzpatrick had to have his beard shaved, and they actually brought like some barber equipment there. Ortiz and Vecchio sat him down in a chair, and I think Macias, I don't know, was chased to the back. Well, they used because Pat's beard going into the match was so long. They took a scissor and cut it first, part of it off. Then took some shaving cream, poured it on Fitzpatrick's head. Then they took the electric clippers. Now they didn't clean shave him, but obviously the beard was trimmed. So I don't know if he's going to shave the rest of that off or not. Because the funny thing is, the Shooter Boys, they leave the ring. At one point, Ortiz says to Vecchio, "Hey, help me." Because, I don't know if they attacked it. What they did, because again, I missed the pre-match assault. And then Macias comes back out. He gets the microphone and he says, when he loses, I lose. And Macias decided, took a scissor and he was going to cut off like the little ponytail on the back of his hair, and he had a hard time getting through it. So I don't know if the scissors were not. I don't know what the trouble was, or because I think Patty even said something about Miss J's hair. But he eventually cut part of it off, and then they leave the ring together. We all thought I was thinking maybe Pat was going to attack Jay, or Jay would attack Pat for losing, and because they've been teaming up for some time, those two. And what a great night, no pun intended, to cap off the Cat Bowl event. Now, a few things I got to say. It's personal notes. I mean, it was good talking with Joey, young man in the wheelchair, who he came to the show as well. And we talked until he got a call that his bus was outside. The show ran straight through with no intermission, much like Brawloween back in November. The crowd wasn't as big as normal. I don't know if it was due to a lack of pre-sale, and I noticed that there were no chairs placed right by where they have the camera set up. The commentators are positioned, and where they got them playing the music and stuff. That's where I would normally sit with friends, but I actually flew solo for this event because none of my friends were going. The funny thing is, because they weren't going, I decided, because of how fucking cold it's outside, I was going to freeze my ass off waiting to get in. I mean, I don't know if anybody out there knows what time they finally let the crowd in. I mean, if they did open up at 4 o'clock or just after 4, because the show started at 5, I arrived at the building, it was like 4:50, 55 I arrived, because as soon as I arrived, I, go get a seat, put my coat down, and I had to go use the bathroom. And while I was in the bathroom, when I first got there, I hear the music play and Ryan Peterson coming to the ring to start the show. And not only that, look at that, folks. We had a great show despite not having Gabby Forza, Bear Bronson. We didn't have, the TV title and the Mayhem medal were not defended on this event. I don't know if anybody else was missing from this one. Okay, some honorable quotes. "You look like a midget Andre the Giant." Somebody in the crowd towards Sidney Bacabella. "T-Moo Big Show." Someone in the crowd at Sidney. After the show had ended, I mean, again, it was so fucking cold. I was walking to the train station, but before I even made it to the train station, I could see a train heading for Penn Station I was hoping to take, but I didn't get it, and I didn't even get up to the platform in time. And then when I went up the elevator, on the platform, and they said there was going to be another train for coming for 20-something minutes. So and I decided I don't want to freeze my balls off all that time. So I actually went to Vincent's, located on Atlantic Avenue near Lynbrook train station, and had a great sausage parmesan hero. Well, maybe it was a good thing I did stop to eat there, because I had to go to the bathroom. And I think it was, maybe when I went back to Lynbrook train station, I'm on the platform. It was like under 10 minutes to go to the next train station. Next train going to New York City was showing up. I got home, what was it? When was it? 10 o'clock hour? Was it after 10 I was home? I can't remember, folks. Everything, like, once these shows go in the book, everything is like such a blur. Okay, hold that thought. Yeah. Okay. Creative Pro Wrestling announced they will be returning to Knights of Columbus in Lynbrook, New York on Sunday, March 22nd, and already announced Sydney Bacabella will go one-on-one with Swoggle, and also appearing, who, as Ryan Peterson said, making her return to Creative Pro Wrestling in either, I don't know, it's been a decade or over a decade, former TNA Knockouts champion, the Virtuosa, Deonna Purrazzo. Not sure if she's still with AEW right now, but of course she's married to Steve Macklin, that lucky bastard. I've got to say, though, for this very show, obviously, some new beginnings have been created. I mean, now we got Brian Myers as commissioner, Ariella Nix. Hopefully she'll be wrestling more now. New formed team between VSK and Bryce Donovan. And by the way, I think TJ Crawford and Jake Lang, that's a great team. Hopefully they'll team again. Be interesting to see where everything goes with them next show. Hopefully at their next show, Nick Robles will defend his TV championship, and Nick Robles will defend his TV title. Jack Thompson will defend the Mayhem medal, since they didn't defend their respective properties at this show. Okay. Let's see. Anything else to say here? Okay, I'll be back in a bit. Okay, to wrap this up, Sydney Bacabella came out to this song, and even though it was a few years before I was even born, this is a song I actually like. Woo! Well, the south side of Chicago is the baddest part of town. And if you go down there, you better just beware of a man named Leroy Brown. Now Leroy, more than trouble. You see, he stands about 6'4". All the downtown ladies call him free top lover. All the men just call him sir. And he's bad, Leroy Brown, the baddest man in the whole damn town. Badder than old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog. Now Leroy, he a gambler, and he liked his fancy clothes. And he liked to wave his diamond rings in front of everybody's nose. He got a custom Continental. He got an Eldorado too. He got a 32 gun in his pocket for fun. He got a razor in his shoe. And he's bad, bad Leroy Brown, the baddest man in the whole damn town. Badder than old King Kong, and meaner than a junkyard dog. Well, Friday, about a week ago, Leroy shooting dice, and at the edge of the bar sat a girl named Doris, and ooh, that girl looked nice. Well, he cast his eyes upon her, and the trouble soon began. And Leroy Brown, he learned a lesson about messing with the wife of a jealous man. And he's bad, bad Leroy Brown, the baddest man in the whole damn town. Badder than old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog. Well, the two men took to fighting, and when they pulled it from the horse, Leroy looked like a jigsaw puzzle with a couple of pieces gone. And he's bad, bad Leroy Brown, the baddest man in the whole damn town. Badder than old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog. And he's bad, bad Leroy Brown, the baddest man in the whole damn town. The badder than old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog. Yeah, he was badder than old King Kong, and meaner than a junkyard dog. That was definitely not my best singing, and I don't know if anyone's going to alert Sydney about that. But definitely had a great time. Hopefully my friends will come as well for Sunday, March 22nd. Now, even though I now have Sunday and Monday off from my job, I still say Sunday shows, no matter who's running or which federation it is, I still contend. I still say Sunday show should start at 2 or 3 p.m. instead of 5 p.m. Definitely had a great time, Creator Pro. CAP, 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 CAP.